Do not forget the gorgeous eyes. That is not so gorgeous.
The story of the Frog Prince is a timeless fairy tale that has been passed down through generations, with its roots deeply embedded in European folklore. The version that most of us are familiar with was transcribed by the brothers Grimm and describes an amphibious monarch who transforms into a handsome prince after some interspecies smooching.
Thanks. I needed that.
The Frog Prince serves as a powerful metaphor demonstrating the importance of inner beauty as well as the transformative power of love and kindness. In modern times, the Frog Prince has been reimagined in countless ways, through books,
Read this to me every night.
film,
He turned into a prince.
and stage performances. For example, a while back, the folks over at Pixar Animation had discussed the idea of adapting this classic fairy tale with a more modern twist. The concept was essentially the Frog Prince set in gangster Chicago, which sounds absolutely wild. At the same time, Walt Disney Animation had discussed adapting Edie Baker's children's novel, The Frog Princess, which reads like a parody of Grimm's fairy tale, where the princess transforms into a frog herself after the infamous kiss. Now, once Disney purchased Pixar in 2006, the decision was made to combine efforts, so to speak. Supposedly, it was animator Ralph Eggleston who suggested changing the original Pixar setting from Chicago to New Orleans, but retain that jazzy aesthetic. After that, frequent Pixar collaborator Randy Newman was brought in to get the music just right.
Tell me about actually going back to New Orleans.
In the town, I think they have a higher appreciation for music and food. It sounds trivial, but it's not. They kind of know how to live.
By the way, the soundtrack for this film was absolutely outstanding. Two of the songs were even nominated for an Academy Award. Oh, and the film was also nominated for Best Animated Feature, thanks in no small part to the incredible animation. The Princess and the Frog was Disney's first traditionally animated film since 2004's Home on the Range, which many people thought would be the end of traditional animation at the studio. Another significant milestone for The Princess and the Frog was the introduction of its main character, a young restaurateur named Tiana. Not only was she the first black Disney princess, but in a film library of nearly 50 films, she was also the first black protagonist in Disney's animation film catalog. Now, as I'm sure many of you already know, the Walt Disney Company hasn't always been celebrated for its portrayal of African Americans. So hopefully it comes as not too much of a surprise to find out that The Princess and the Frog wasn't completely void of controversy. For example, during the film's 1 hour and 37-minute runtime, the Black Princess spends about 2/3 of the film green. That said, keeping Tiana a frog for most of the movie does offer Disney the ability to avoid some of the unfortunate realities of Louisiana during the Jim Crow era.
What just happened?
The Walt Disney Company has often struggled with historical accuracy, preferring a more sanitized version of our nation's past. Possibly the most problematic issue in The Princess and the Frog is its depiction of the film's villain, Dr. Facilier. Now, admittedly, I really adore this witch doctor, especially since he's voiced by Keith David. This was by no means his first voice acting gig, but I'm especially fond of his work on Disney's Gargoyles.
If we're to defend the castle, I suppose we need to be prepared for whatever's out there.
Unfortunately, The Princess and the Frog doesn't exactly portray the practice of voodoo in the most authentic way, which definitely caused some moviegoers to take issue. After the film's release, Tiana, Prince Naveen, Louis the trumpet-playing gator, and even Dr. Facilier would start making appearances in Disney theme parks. However, Facilier didn't make the final cut for Tiana's Bayou adventure. In June of 2020, Walt Disney Imagineering announced they'd be replacing the popular Splash Mountain attraction with a ride overlay featuring Tiana and her friends.
Spending the day at Magic Kingdom, and I thought I should come over and experience the former location, as you can see behind me, the former location of Splash Mountain, and check out and see how all of the preparations for our new attraction is going along.
Here's what Imagineer Tony Baxter, the man who is really responsible for Splash Mountain, had to say about this new ride overlay.
New stories would give us characters, music, and wonderful places that now reside in the hearts of audiences everywhere. Following conversations with Imagineering's leaders about the new attraction's scope and resources, I had a great sense of reassurance. The attraction will be one to be proud of, bringing to life places, characters, and music from the animated classic The Princess and the Frog.
Many fans of Splash Mountain were heartbroken over this announcement, and while Brer Rabbit merchandise wasn't exactly flying off shelves anymore, the line for Disney's Log Flume ride continued to be pretty long. And look, I get it. Saying goodbye to some of our favorite rides is disappointing to say the least. I mean, I still lament over Horizons, and that closed in the 90s. But I still have all those great memories, and it doesn't impair my ability to experience new attractions. By the way, I also think it's healthy to express yourself when you're unhappy with changes. Just, do your best not to make any bad faith arguments. Like, the one I remember circulating the web was that Tiana had no business being in Frontierland since Louisiana isn't in the American frontier. And sure, that's true, but doesn't Song of the South take place in Georgia, which is objectively even farther away from the American frontier? I guess my point is you can be happy or unhappy with change. You don't have to come up with bad arguments to validate it. It's your opinion. And also, there's nothing wrong with being worried when a Disney theme park loses one of its most iconic attractions. Fortunately, Imagineers put together some incredible plans for this refurbishment. Splash Mountain closed in both Disneyland and Disney World in 2023, and Tiana's Bayou Adventure opened 1 year later.
The new attraction, a musical journey throughout the Louisiana Bayou.
This is definitely a party, and we're inviting our guests to come along for the adventure as well.
This new attraction was certainly a technological upgrade, showing off some of the advancements they'd been making at Disney Imagineering. I'm especially excited about the animatronic figures they've added to the ride. That said, I'd have loved to encounter Dr. Facilier just before that huge drop. I think he'd been a fun replacement for those vultures, and just imagine the suspense building as Facilier sings about his friends on the other side. Also, why not keep the riverboat? It was my favorite part of Splash Mountain, and it would arguably make more sense on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Now, while many fans of Disney parks are still upset about the loss of Brer Rabbit and his crew, hopefully it won't impair anyone's ability to enjoy Tiana's Bayou Adventure. That said, the line for Tiana's Bayou Adventure just keeps getting longer and longer. Outside Frontierland. Yeesh. Oh, and here it is. The long-awaited Tiana's Bayou Adventure. It's interesting. I've spent the last 21 years working in a strong black community. So I took it upon myself to discuss this particular refurbishment with some of my peers. I can't remember anyone expressing any strong opinions about Splash Mountain, but many of them were extremely excited that Tiana was getting her own attraction some 15 years after the film's release. I guess it really goes to show just how important representation is. I think it's also fair to say that some of that excitement has rubbed off on me as well. Don't get me wrong, I'll always have fond memories of getting soaked on Splash Mountain, singing along with Zippity Doo-Dah, but I'm equally excited to start singing some classic tracks from Princess and the Frog. Here's hoping that Tiana's Bayou Adventure sticks around just as long as its predecessor. Thank you so much for joining us on our adventure through Song of the South, Splash Mountain, and beyond. If you missed any video in this series, be sure to check out our YouTube channel in order to get caught up. Oh, and I'd love to know if any of our viewers have experienced Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Please tell us all about your experience in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, do us a favor and drop a like, and be sure to subscribe to Retro Spectrum so you don't miss a single episode of Details.